Alright, so in this video we are going to make some rusty old surgical tools real quick for video games, and we're going to delete the default cube to get started. I am going to go to the top view, just click the Z here, or tilde key, top, hit Shift A. We're going to add in a reference image. So image, reference, and you can see I have snagged this offline real quick. Got a couple surgical tools here we might want to create. And I'm going to just block these in real rough and real fast. That way, you know, you can go back and detail these if you want, but it may or may not be required. A lot of these are real simple and easy to do. You'd be surprised how simple they can be. This one's mostly cylindrical, but it turns flat here on the sides. So this one's pretty much a plane. This one's a cylinder. This one's probably going to be your most challenging because it has a little bit of a curve to the sides, but let's go ahead and block them in. To get started, I'm going to orbit out, press GZ, move it down a little. I'm going to lock this. Go to the little object properties here, go to visibility, uncheck selectable. Now you can't pick this thing and move it around or select it or anything. Let's go ahead and start with, there's a bunch of different ways you can start these. You can start with cylinders, you can start with planes, there's all kinds of fun stuff. Let's start with a plane. And the origin point I'm going to end up moving. So if you lose your origin point, don't worry about it. But it's important for mirroring, so keep that in mind. I'm going to scale this in edit mode. This object's kind of at an angle, so I'm going to have to kind of guesstimate here what's going on. And I'm going to go for the top side of it. I was thinking I maybe could try to do the other side here, but we'll go with the top side. And I'm just going to quickly get the shape going all the way through. It's probably a slight bend here, so I'm going to Control R, add a loop cut, and just add this shape a little bit. Alt Z, turn on X-ray mode or turn it off. Mine's set to max right now. I need to change that. It needs to be X-ray here, slightly transparent. And I'm going to scale this down, but not to a single vertex. Still want it to have a little tip there. I'm going to rotate it. So just pushing and pulling some of this into shape. Now these are kind of going down actually. So I probably don't need to actually delete that. Press E. I'll just move it up like so a little bit. Scale it in. We'll play with the functionality of this in a second. Just want a little shape to it. And so this piece down like so. They're supposed to be like tweezers or something like that. Yeah, tweezers. I'm gonna select the whole thing, press E and then Z twice. Make sure it's going straight down. Here's something fun you can do. You can press Shift H, hide everything except that bottom face. Select here, do proportional edit, switch it to linear, G and then Z, and we'll just push it all up a little bit. Use a mouse wheel to adjust that size. Go into object mode, check it. Nah, it's not quite what I want. Back into object mode. That's more like it. Still a little thick in the middle there. You can turn off proportional edit now. Oop. Didn't quite get it to where I wanted it. I do want the base a little bit thicker, but not that much. So something like that, maybe. All right. Push that one out a little bit more, and let's bring it out and down a little bit. A little bit of practice here goes a long way. This bottom section here, bring it down a little bit. The back, you know what, Alt-H, unhide everything. We're gonna add a loop cut right there. So Control-R, loop cut, S and Z. We'll do that number. All right. Now, these are probably backwards, so we're going to turn on backface culling right here. You can see that the object is inverted. Select it all by pressing A, Alt-N, and recalculate outside. There. I could kind of tell that was going on, so something I wanted to adjust real quick. All right. Let's go ahead and do a mirror modifier. Now, it's going to mirror on the pivot, right? So I need a place to pivot here. So normally you would do Shift S and then do cursor to selected and pick where you want it to go. So Shift S, cursor to selected. In this case, I got machine tools installed, which is a free add-on, by the way, and using the pie menu for this. To edge. So you do cursor to selected and then go object, set origin to 3D cursor in object mode. And now I can just apply that mirror modifier. I could do that number. Looks pretty good. I want to have a little bit more space to them though. Turn on X-ray so I can select all of it instead of just moving pieces of it. It's not too bad. This image is slightly in perspective, so you got to keep it in mind that you don't want to accidentally mess it up. I'm going to turn on bisect and flip so that those should combine now. And if they don't, you can press select it all, press G and X, hold down Shift, move them together a little bit. I think they're a little too thick. What do you think? I think they're a little too thick. Right here at the tip. Okay, so we can do individual origins along normal. We might be able to grab that area and get it right. Which it doesn't look like it's going to happen unless we select the face. Let's try that. This loop. Cool thing about working in normal is that if you wanted to move, like say I press Z, it's moving along this normal. If I wanted to move on global, I just press Z again. So it can do that number. All I really want though a little bit of width to this right here, I think. Maybe a little bit more than that. That's where you kind of grab it from, you know? Now, obviously, trying to get my view here correct. I'm gonna go back to global, medium. Let's bring that in. Bring that up. Something like so. This is actually straight up and down. Image is crooked, so it looks a little weird, but you get the idea. It's starting to happen. Now we have this going on. Seemed rough, huh? Kind of was, but we're not going to work on that object. We're going to go to create a cylinder. This cylinder, I'm going to do 8 sides. I'm going to place it right here, just scale it down. Rotate it in edit mode on X, 90. So RX, type in 90. You're going to move it to line it up a little better. Go back to object mode. I'm trying to keep the origin in the center so I don't have to mess with it later. Now, go into edit mode, make sure X-ray is on. You can select that back face there. Let's bring it on out. Select that front face. Bring it on forward. Scale it in a little, tiny bit. Press E, S. Oh, E, extrude, and then press S. Scale. E, S, E, or GY to readjust. Let's do E. Then we're going to scale on only X. We'll fix the rest of this shape here in a second. All right. So obviously this piece is flat. It's not like this. So what I want to do is grab these vertices all the way through. So press Alt Z to go into X-ray. SZ, I'll flatten it down. Perfect, no. Good enough for a low poly game model, yes. This handle is flat, believe it or not. So I'm gonna grab these edges. And here's a trick about this. If I press Control B and I bevel, you'll see that it creates that face there, but there's triangles on the end. If I mouse wheel up once, I can actually correct that real quick. So I can bevel. I'm just mimicking that shape. I don't think it's quite. This is on the side here. Oh, so it might show up just right. We'll be all right. This here is a quad. 2 triangles together is a quad. You'll see what happens here when I break this apart. X, dissolve edges, boom. Okay, the backside might not have fared as well, but so I'm gonna delete that. This piece, we'll do loop tools, circle. Oh, you know what? No, we're not. I'm not gonna do that, sorry. Let's see how this subdivides. Bump it up 1. Turn off optimal display. Not a very good subdivision. So we'll turn off in edit mode, and then we'll bring a little bit of control to that top there. And the thing we're facing here is, this is an Ingon. I didn't really think that one through, did I? Cut here to here. That's a quad. That's a quad. So not too big of a deal, but you're gonna subdivide something like this. Pay attention to little things. Press E to keep cutting. If you gotta move, and then press Spacebar after. A lot nicer. We'll put one in the middle. You can see how we got this starting to go on here now. This section. What I would do is select these, Alt Z, press C, use cursor selector, middle mouse button to get rid of that. Get rid of all that selection. And it does seem to go all the way out, doesn't it? You might actually be able to use that all the way down. We're going to press Shift E, and we're going to bump it. We're going to hold Control while doing Shift E. We'll do it to 80%, see what happens. Pretty good. Not too bad. Select these faces, S and Z. We'll move it down a little bit. I just want to scale this one in a little bit. All right. Loop cut. Loop cut. That should do it. Shade it smooth. These faces are a little janky, but it's not too bad. There we go. Got another one done. These ones become a little bit more complicated. Don't fret. It's just the same idea. Cylinder. We're going to use 12 side on this. Rotate. Go into edit mode. Rotate 90 on X. Back to object mode. Slide it over. Scale it in. Locking this one out super quick here. Make sure we're set good here. All right. This end section, press S and Shift Y, bring it in a little like that. So you can do that like this. Alt Z, so we can select through the model, select this face, E, S, E, E, S, E. I do want this to be, I think it needs to be the same size. Maybe not. ES. So we're going to do E, bring it out. It should be all right. So we're going to try this. Control R, add a loop cut. Place it right in the center, right click. We're going to scale it in. Control B to bevel. Now mouse wheel up. Kind of a cool little trick there, by the way. You didn't know that one? Okay. E. Let's pull it out. I think I'm going to do all the way to the top almost on both sides. Could do this with a mirror, but no point. Alt-E, extrude faces along normals. Offset even. Oh, you know what? Look at that. Check this out. This needs to all be extruded a little. Then we can just do these sections. All the way out to the edge. Something like that. Let's add a couple loops. This one and this one. These aren't loops, so we're gonna have to just select them with X-ray on. Just the faces though. Bring them back in a little bit. This whole section, matter of fact, we could probably cursor selector. Get rid of these ones. Probably do this number. Select this loop, curve it out. There we go. Get some shape going in here. We're still going to subdivide this, so we were modeling on the left side, and so these are out a little bit too much, actually. I'm just going to scale them in like that. All right, good enough for me. Let's continue. Back face. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So E and S, then E, ES. Pull it on out. Once again, Alt click S, Shift Y. Can do that number. I don't need that many because we're going to subdivide. But I do want to define it a little. All right, now that just looks too thick to me a little bit. We can actually use this piece here. Press Shift D, creates a duplicate. Right click, places it in the center. Press P now. Separate selection. Go to object mode. Select that new object. Go into edit mode. And you'll want to place the origin point in the center. So in my case, it's quick and easy. I can do it in edit mode now because I got machine tools installed. But once again, you'd Shift S, cursor to selected in edit mode, and then go set origin, right? That whole ordeal. I'm going to rotate this. And I'm going to move it back. Scale it. So it rotated at 90. Now I'm just kind of position it where I need it. Go into edit mode, select the whole thing. I'm going to press E, Z. Everything's backwards, so select it all, Alt N, recalculate outside. And the front and the back, select them both, press I and set. Press Control E, do bridge edge loops. And then there you go. Look at that. Pretty quick, right? Just get it positioned about right. It's going to be a little bit off, but now I'm going to bevel all of these edges real quick. Just a little bit. Okay. Now this is some kind of, I think, syringe. I don't really know what this thing is, but it has a little cut in it, which can be pretty problematic if you're not used to working with those things. But especially when you're, we'll turn that X-ray down. Especially if you're trying to copy it like one-to-one. A Boolean here actually might make more sense. So we're going to do mesh, cube, create a new cube here. Go to edit mode. We're just going to line them up so we get it just right. This side, as long as it's outside the model, you're okay. But the height, yeah. Just getting it in position here. So this edge, and this edge. These two on each side of this cube. I'm going to bevel them just a bit, something like that. And line them up like so. Somewhere around there. This is about to get pretty messy, so just hang tight. The trick here is I'm going to use a tool that's already in Blender. It's called Bool Tool. Instead of using the Boolean modifier and all that fun stuff, I'm going to use Bool Tool. And under Edit Preferences, Add-ons, you look for BOOL tool, and then enable it, save your preferences, and you'll get this little thing right here. So when you press N, bring out this panel, go to Edit, you'll have these options here. And I am going to select this first, then this. I think this is the direction I'm supposed to go. And I should be able to do a difference. Let's see. Yeah, so difference will cut out that shape. And this generally kind of works, but I'm going to try doing an intersect. Maybe I got to do it the other way around. Oh, no, slice, sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. Slice. Ah, there we go. So it actually, when you slice it, you can see what it does, right? Turns it into two objects, basically. I could select this object, press Alt-E, extrude faces along normals. I could bring it in like so, if I wanted. That's an option. But that's not really why I wanted to do this. I just wanted to cut in there. I'm gonna hide that for a second. Everything in here, when I go into edit mode, is already selected. I'm deleting it. That's all I want to do. Press Alt-H, bring this back. I just hit it real quick. So / isolate it. I want this bottom section. I want it gone. Alt-H. Oh, sorry. / unisolate. All right. I want to make this the same object. So Control J, we're joining them together. Go to edit mode. Select everything. Press M, merge by distance. Now, seems like a lot of extra, doesn't it? And it is. It feels like it too. What I want is this normal, these normals of these. Control and Shift at the same time. Let's just select big patches like that usually. Where's this one start and stop down here? Right there. Okay. All right. Alt-E, extrude faces along normals. We're going to push them in. Offset even. So we get that little detail there. Okay. I'm going to remerge everything just to make sure we don't have no doubles laying around. If you have machine tools installed with your mesh selected, you can use a quick cleanup, which does a lot of extras for you there. Problem with this mesh now is it won't subdivide very well. A lot of issues because it's using a lot of n-gons. And so you can manually clean this up by adding loop cuts where you need them. Something like that. Can be a little problematic if you don't know what you're looking for, like what are errors and stuff. So like this here, I probably doesn't really matter. I could probably just merge them together. Might be slightly off, but it's not a huge deal. You can see it fits in there pretty nice. So, and I'm gonna mirror this top to bottom later, so I'm not worried about the bottom half right now. I just want to clean up this top half. So this section, unneeded. Nobody's gonna notice that small detail difference. We'll cut this one to this one though. Oh, can't merge everything real quick. There we go. This one we don't need. We can dissolve it. This is a quad. Well, mostly a quad. See here, this don't line up there. I need an edge to travel on, so create a cut. Boom. Sometimes you'll end up with like double edges, which is really weird because Blender has a hard time figuring out they're there. And you can't really figure out they're there either. Unless you do, I'm going to turn X-ray on first. Select all by tray interior faces. Sometimes it'll highlight them if you got them. All right, so it looks like we're good, I think. This needs to be cut through here, a loop cut. So this is all quad now. It should subdivide okay. This side, not so much. If you wanted to add more detail to this curve, you have to use more around the other side as well. Sometimes you can finagle the topology, but when you subdivide it, it's not going to work out well. So keep that in mind. We're going to do one here, do one here, cut all the way down. Press E, cut down, spacebar. There we go. And then we'll add one more. No, we won't add that one yet. We'll wait until we mirror. There we go. Let's do a mirror. This is why I wanted to keep that origin point in the center. So make sure you do mirror Z or whatever axis you need to use, but do a bisect. If you bisect deletes the whole thing, just hit flip and get a better result. So once I apply that mirror, I'm going to press Control A, hover over it, apply it. Now we should be in a good position where we can do that loop here, maybe. Let's try merging some. Got rid of 4 verts. There you go. The loop works now. Slide it down. We're gonna do the same over here. It's like little control loops, basically. Let's apply that subdivision, see what's going on. Turn it off in edit mode. Hit that little icon for that. So now when I go to edit mode, we're still here. This is creating that. Not a big fan of that. See if we can't clean that up somehow. If I dissolve that edge, that still doesn't look too bad, but it's not exactly what I want. Move it around a little. All right. We're gonna do is this. select this whole loop here. And we're going to go to select, loops, boundary loop. Hit Control B, do a bevel. See how that works out. Ooh, it's closer. Not quite right though. Let's do a control loop here. See if it helps anymore. Nope. It might just not be quite enough geometry here. But that triangle's working pretty well. So sometimes you can use triangles. It's not recommended. But you can see it's not too bad. It's creating a pole right here. That little pole right there. Which is kind of nice because it's redirecting the topology around. Not necessarily the way I would want, but all right. Let's check the front. So let's add we don't need to add a loop cut right now. We need to add a cut all the way across. I'm gonna mirror this again, I think. So that should, there you go. Shade it smooth. We can shade this smooth. We can also subdivide this. This piece is problematic because I don't want to face at the end here. So if I hide this real quick, I don't need that. We could just delete that. For a game model, not needed. This here, we're going to do origin to geometry. I'm going to copy the Z value here, which is at 0, so we don't really need to, but here's an interesting issue. If I was to scale this, you'll see that it shifts the bevel there. Sometimes that's a problem. You can add a loop cut. Select the top half, the bottom half, right? If you scaled it, it still does the same thing, but you sometimes have to move it. So G, make sure it's on increment right there, and not grid snapping, but G, Z, hold down Control, and you should be able to get it to move exactly 0.02. 0.02, something like that. Still not too bad. Or you could just mirror it again. Even if you get this wrong, it doesn't matter, because you can just do origin to geometry, put it back at 0, as long as you create more width. Front of this is abysmal, so we're gonna need to fix it. ES, we're just gonna make a simple front here. E, push it in on Y. It's not a face, so you're just doing the edges. It won't do it on normal, so you got to define it. So press E and then Y. ES, EY. Press F, you can make a face. You don't have that problem no more. ES. E. ES. E. ES. E. Something like that. I'm going to put a loop right in the middle. Control B to bevel it. Boom. Now we have like that kind of front to it. We'll bevel this one just a little bit. Bevel this one just a little bit. And voila, there we go. Starting to take shape, makes sense. You could do things like make this a little bit wider, go into a smaller section, but you know, ultimately you would repeat this process for these two over here. I think we're gonna skip this one. And we're gonna go with just these clamps here. Which isn't as hard as it seems. What you do is you use a plane, move it over, go into edit mode, scale it down. You're about to learn something here that's really cool. I'm just gonna position it roughly where it lines up. Cool. Select one side, one edge, hold Control, right click. And just mimic this shape as much as you need to. Don't overdo it. Then pull it up and or whatever. Do it the other direction too. Control and right click. You can do this with vertices as well, which is pretty useful. So this section, Control right click. I'm gonna select that face and make it a little thinner real quick. I can adjust this kind of stuff later. Oh, a little bit off. Just hit Control Z, it'll undo the last one. This is one of my favorite little modeling tricks. Took me a while to figure this one out. I was actually pretty heavy into Blender. And, it was a tree tutorial from, what's his name? He's a YouTuber that makes tutorials. CG Geek. That's the guy. So I was using Blender for like 2 years, and then I watched one of his videos, and I was like, oh, that's how you do that? That's cool. So I give him a little shout out there. Came from Max, of all things, so it's kind of different story entirely. I'm not gonna I'm gonna push this up a little bit more. I'm gonna make this a separate piece. This is like a crab claw, right? It's basically what it is. You never noticed. So you can still Control right click on this. You can scale along the way too by pressing S. All right. Trying to keep these all nice and even and smooth is the fun part. All right. This is a separate section, the bottom one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it, press Y, G, and then Z. I'm going to rip it down like that. Just a little bit. So we'll be able to work with this now. This whole section, select the entire outline. Press E, Z, bring it down. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but I think this is just offset from one another a little bit. So this section here, press Y and separate it again. I don't really, I need it as like a separate object. So if I press E and Z, bring it down, press L, select it, Alt in, recalculate outside. I think it's doing this number. Where it's actually pretty similar. It's almost lined up the same, and it goes through the object and comes back out over here, right? Like any other scissors, I guess, but I don't know if I want to model all that like that. So I don't have the other side to look at as a reference. Yeah, we'll do it. Why not? So we can actually use them if we need to. I'm gonna separate them. So I'm gonna grab this one, press P, separate selection. You can work on these both at the same time. So you grab them both and go into edit mode, even though they're two objects. It's pretty neat that you can actually do that. But we're gonna just gonna go with it, I guess. I don't know what it looks like on the other side. Usually it's better to have a reference of like the top, bottom, left, right side, perspectives. Whenever you make something, the more detailed you are, the better references you have, the better. In this case, I don't have much of that, so I'm gonna figure they do something like this. Because they're offset. Yep, something like that. What's going on under here? This one is probably under the other one. So like that. This whole bottom section, Control F, grid fill. Oop, that didn't work. Just press F. We'll do just a regular fill. / isolate it. Let's just do a regular fill for now. Merge it all. I know it looked like a crazy complicated object, but it's suddenly you start breaking it down, it's not so bad. Sometimes getting these smooth can be an issue, but if you subdivide it, not really. It's not a big deal. You don't need all of these if you're subdividing. And these are good enough to subdivide, so you can see here. You can do that number. This one not not so good to subdivide because that face at the bottom. So normally I'd grid fill something like that, it'd be fun, but it's obviously doing what it wants. I'll clean them up using machine tools real quick. So let's set the origin point to the top face. No. Whoop. The middle face. To face. There we go. Should be able to mirror on Z or X or Y or something. And bisect it and flip it. There you go. Apply it now. We have your appropriate shape. So if we subdivide it, not too bad. This one right here. I'll bring out a little. Now, how fancy you get with this is up to you. I'm not going to tell you what you need and need to do and not need to do, but like this bottom edge pretty much up to here, you could pull it out slightly. You can even turn on a proportional editing for this, I think. Mine's way too big for some reason, but something like that. Yeah. It's probably the same on this side too. So cursor selector. We're gonna try this is what we're gonna try to do. Alt Shift. Oh no, it's still, how did I get it still? Okay. Was not expecting that. I'm gonna have to use shortest path selection. Manually select it because the loop usually, I thought you could deselect a loop like that, but I guess not. So Shift, Control, boom. So I could probably bring this in a little. Turn off proportional editing for a second. Bring it in a little bit. Switch it to, I believe, normal, individual origins, G, and then I'm gonna switch to vertex here. G, and then uh-oh. It's acting like it's in global. Normal, individual origins. Move on Z. Let's try local. This is kind of weird. Normally individual origins, I can move on each individual normal. But I guess it's something I'm doing wrong or something. I'm gonna press Alt E, extrude faces along normals. Push them out a little. See if we can get away with this. Oh, I got box cutter on. Oops. I turned it on by accident. So selecting this edge here. All right. That's not gonna work. I was thinking you'd have to slide one in. No. No. What a pain. This whole section, except this one and this one. This one, except there and there. Dissolve edges. I'm gonna slide those two up. I don't know if that would have necessarily worked, but it... All right, so we're almost done here. Trying to get that curve on this one was a little more challenging, I guess. Should have just did it the same way as the other one. Need to cut it. Press space. Solve these real quick. There we go. Oh no, that's not good either. I thought it's like, oh no, this is definitely a quad. No, it's not. Can I think turn it into a quad though. Yeah. There you go. Look at that. Probably gotta do it on this side too. What a problem. Do it a little different over here. Nope. Don't gotta do it like that. So 2 might have to come in, and if you wanted to, fix some things like this. This is looking bad. I have no idea what happened over here. Why that face is shrinking in exactly? What's going on there? No, we're not doing all that nonsense. Isolate. We're fixing that. I don't like that at all. There's no reason for all that extra stuff in there. It's like when I mirrored, it didn't solve this. Delete only faces, because I want the wireframe still. Try to figure out what's going on. These are useless. That's useless. Delete them. That's useless. That's useless. Can't even select them because I got to turn on X-ray, which makes it a little bit harder to tell what's going on. I think I see the main issue now, though. It's this piece right here. Decided to be a knucklehead. Go up instead of down. I'm gonna leave this thick for a second. So I'm gonna get rid of all that stuff on the bottom there. So clean this. Back up to normal. Okay. I'm gonna cut here. Oh. Cut here to there. Well, that already is cut. Let's dissolve that edge real quick. There we go. Yeah, sometimes you might end up in this situation where you just gotta go back and manually fix things. It happens. That top's good. I'm gonna get rid of the subdivision real quick, do the mirror. On Z, flip it. Okay. I'll readjust this a little bit. Apply it. This middle ring is gone. We don't need it. Dissolve it. These could dissolve. They don't want to dissolve, just delete them. Sometimes that happens too. So this moved, of course. I'm gonna move it back down. Re-isolate it real quick. This is all I want to do. This is kind of based on your view as well. So sometimes you can, if the vertices don't want to go in the same direction, you can always just change your view around a little. But now, I think we're doing all right. I want this top one and this bottom one. Just kind of want to create a little bit more of a pension type looking section. Okay. There we go. Finally feel like I know what I'm doing again. Bring all that down. Deselect that bottom one. Bring that down a little. Let's see if it works. All right. Now the tip here, this area. Proportional edit, linear, S and then Z. Just gonna let it go. I have a fill in this little area. Be like that. Something like that anyways, right? And then the top would be the same, but I don't know the exact profile. It's similar. I probably wouldn't want to even adjust the bottom section too much. Shift H. I'm gonna bring that down like that. All right, that's not 100%. It's not, but for now, I think I'm okay with it. All right. There we go. A couple surgical tools for you. Same process kind of on this one, except it's a little bit more complicated. You had to create this lever and then or a little switch or lever or whatever, and then create this crazy shape. But it's basically the same process. See, this looks all too small now. I don't know why it looked big in one view and not the other. And so your reference image, just a couple little mentions about it real quick. You can go to the reference image area. You can turn it on only in the orthographic view, so it only pops up there if it annoys you. You can also adjust the opacity, so it becomes more clear and whatnot. But ultimately, you know, the more you do this kind of simple modeling, like you work object to object to object, you're going to get fast at it. Like, you're not going to, you might run into little issues. They might eat up a little bit of your time, but overall, it's going to get faster and faster. And this reference image is just called empty. You can turn it off at the very end. I'll bump that one down a little. So this will be, I think that'll be my little image here for the tutorial video. All right. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this one. I know it was a little lengthy, but you can see how you can kind of manipulate things super efficiently and effectively. Oh, one last thing. These guys could probably go in like that a little. Look a little bit nicer anyways. You know, when you make something, take a break from it, come back, look at it, see if you find anything different that you missed before. Things like that go a long way. And let's go ahead and save it now. So I did the syringe one earlier. All right. Anyways, hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done it already, follow me on Twitch. I do these live, so you can always catch me on Twitch while I'm making videos and leave comments, suggestions, and I'll answer them as I go through it. So, anyways, check you out next time. All right.